Hello. Everybody having a good time at the CES? Yeah, a little chaotic out there, right? So at least it's slowed down a bit. But thanks for coming and hanging out with us and stopping by the Flir booth and check. Hopefully you guys have taken a few minutes, checked out the equipment, or when we're done here, check it out. But for those of you who don't know me, all right, created the show Ghost Hunters back in 2004. I investigated the claims of the paranormal for over 25 years. Also created Ghost Hunters International, Ghost Hunters Academy. Written a bunch of books, New York Times bestselling author. Also, I do a syndicated radio show, Beyond Reality Radio. All right, so move on. All right, little graphics there. Oh. All right, so Ghost Hunters, it follows the TAPS team while we investigate claims of the paranormal. Now, when I say claims of the paranormal, a lot of people instantly think of a ghost or a haunting, and that's far from the truth. Most of the time, a haunting falls under the paranormal, but the paranormal can exist without a haunting. So we'll get into that. But the show's run for 11 seasons. We've aired over 260 episodes and in 130 plus countries, and it's our 11th season. So it's been an amazing run. All right, and just a little about TAPS. All right, TAPS stands for the Atlantic Paranormal Society. It's the most visited paranormal website in the world with over 90 million visitors annually. And we get about 1,000 case requests a day, so from all over the world. So we've got this huge network of TAPS groups that are everywhere. In every country, if you go to the website, you'll be able to see that. All right? And to be honest, I think why the show's lasted as long as it has, it's pretty self-explanatory. We go in believing that over 90% of all claims can be disproved, that it doesn't have anything to do with a ghost. All right, so let's just get into a little of why or how, all right? We'll do a quick breakdown. All right, so here's quickly, about 45% are misunderstandings. These are people who think that it's their dead Uncle Fred who used to be a plumber flushing their toilet at 2 a.m. when it's really just a bad flapper valve. So things of that nature. There are things that a lot of times you can go in and you can figure out what's truly going on. All right, so about 45% are misunderstandings. It's not intentional. About 15% want a haunting. So no matter what you tell them, no matter what you explain or you figure out, they're going to believe it's haunted, bottom line, okay? You've got about 10% that do have some medical issues. Now, it might sound funny, but everything from schizophrenia down. We went into a little old lady's house not too long ago. About 20 minutes after she invited us in, she came after us with a frying pan because she forgot she invited us in. She thought we were intruders. So you can see she needed help that was beyond what we could do for her, so helping the right people. This one's definitely a big one. Self-medicated, all right? A lot of people out there are self-medicated. And with that, they have their own paranormal issues, I guess. And then we've got about 10% that fall under the paranormal. Now again, like I said, paranormal. That doesn't mean a haunting. And I want to just explain that to you real quick, okay? All right, so para meaning beyond, and normal meaning within limits of what we're familiar with. So when you put them together, honestly, all right. Beyond our limits at this time. So think of it this way. There's scientific proof to show that high magnetic fields can condense enough to move small objects. That doesn't mean a ghost moved it. So it just means it's above the normal of what we're used to at this time, till we're able to figure it out. So it has nothing to do with a ghost. And I think this is really important. A lot of people ask me what my favorite piece of equipment is and why thermal imaging, which is my favorite piece of equipment, is so important to us when it comes down to investigating claims of the paranormal. We'll show. Most claims that people have that they believe tend to be a ghost in their house is, if this works, okay, sudden hot or cold spots, of course. Everybody hears that one. You also get strange temperature fluctuations. People talk about, well, it feels 65, 70 in this area, but all of a sudden this area feels 40. So they think there's a demon in their house. All right, strange drafts from unknown places. If they're standing in a hallway and they get this weird draft, and a lot of you would associate, a lot of people claim that they feel something walked through them when it has nothing to do with that. Sounds from within walls. Now, this happens a lot. People talk about how they're hearing this movement from, in the walls and in different areas. And the sounds from the walls is important. I can tell you a case we did not too long ago where they had sounds in a wall, and we opened up the wall and found a family of pissed off chipmunks. that we had just allowed into the people's house because we got the wall open. So it's been all day trying to catch those. You laugh, it's true. All right. A lot of people, of course, when it comes down to it, they automatically want to blame these guys. And, you know, the truth is, like I said earlier, 90% of it can be disproved. These guys are far from the ones to blame. So a lot of times it's a real world answer. So, all right. All right. So, and it really, thermal imaging helps us find the cause. We investigated a location at a college not too long ago where we found a homeless man living downstairs in the back area of the college. And people were terrified. They thought there was a ghost down there. Had nothing to do with it. It had to do with a homeless man who had found a back entrance and was able to get in. We wouldn't have found that with infrared. We wouldn't have found that with anything else. But using thermal imaging, I'm able to see in complete darkness anything that gives off a heat signature. I'm able to see where the guy was standing a little while ago, follow the footsteps, and you find a living individual there. And thermal, it comes in so handy. How many of you guys know the movie The Amityville Horror? All right, a lot of you. Okay, well, right there is a good friend of mine, Christopher Lutz, and his family was the one that lived in the house. The family, that's where the movie was based on, his family's experience in there. And he can even tell you how important thermal imaging would have helped them out, especially back then when they were having those experiences. All right. So you can see you've got overloading wires, you've got drafts coming in, you've got people down at the end of hallways, so you're able to figure out what's truly going on. Now, the infrared camera, you wouldn't be able to see that far down. But I can tell you with even using the Flir 1, if somebody was standing up against a wall on the far end, I could see them because they give off a heat signature. The wall's a different color, they give off a heat signature and show up. So, any questions so far with any of that? No? What's the range on that? As far as the heat signature can pick up, it's pretty far. I can tell you that we've used it and been able to see a couple hundred yards. But the fact of the matter is, of course, as you get into the higher devices, the bigger devices, it's gonna extend further. But at that distance, it'll be still a heat signature and showing up. But of course, it's not going to be easily defined. You'll just know that there's something there. All right, so show you a couple videos. At least you guys can get an idea of how these things will show up. Okay. All right. Strange sounds coming from the basement. People are hearing moving. It's going on down there. Now you can see. Now, if we're in total darkness trying to use any other camera, we wouldn't be able to find these. Now you can see things moving around. It becomes more prominent in just a minute. But using infrared, you might be able to see them, you might not. Going down with any other camera, you wouldn't be able to see them, but because they give off a heat signature, you're able to, watch. You're able to see them, you're able to see where they are, where they've been, where they're moving. So not only does it help you solve paranormal problems, but to be honest with you, if you have these things living in your house, you got to worry about disease and your children and all things like that. And the nice thing is also with these setups where I've been working with Flir for quite a few years now, and the initial design, they've designed this so anybody with a smartphone can own a Flir thermal. You got to think, when I started doing the show 12 years ago, we were buying thermal cameras that started at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and ran up to $30,000 just for TV use. And we started working with them, and now anybody who's got a smartphone can spend just a couple $100 and have a Flir camera on their phone, which is amazing. And they've even designed, the great thing is dealing with them, they take feedback. And we were testing them in the field, and the initial ones that we were using were the full case units, first generation. But now that phones have changed, every couple of years, the iPhone or whatever changes design, they really thought, well, how do we make it so it works? And people don't constantly have this issue. So they've set it up where it connects to the bottom, and also on the side where people who've got cases on their phone, now there's a dial on it, so when you connect it, it literally still connects in. The plug can go up and down and make it so it can connect in depending on whatever case you got. All right, so let's watch another video. All right, again, another claim, people hearing noises in the walls and heat signatures coming off the walls. And of course, you've got things that are showing up there. Now, the nice thing is that could be anything from animals living in the walls, bugs living in the walls. You could have water lines feeding. As a plumber, I'm a plumber by trade, and I've used it to find leaking water lines behind walls because it gives off a heat signature, cold water lines that are leaking throughout the wall. And it's important because, think of this, as a plumber, I go into somebody's house and I have to look and try to find out where something is leaking from. Well, without thermal, I'm starting to cut into walls and hope I get closer and closer to the area. By the time I'm done, I've opened up this huge area. But using a Flir thermal, I'm able to go in, isolate where the problem is, cut open the wall, fix the problem there. So it becomes a real cost-effective thing that helps out, and it saves the people a lot of money as well. So we'll play another video and show you. If it comes up. Hello. All right, there we go. All right, strange hum in the wall. So again, you're going to see you were able to isolate different areas where, of course, you're getting more of a heat signature, and where the noise was coming, they were able to hear it on the inside. So this takes a second, but you can. So of course, after you isolate the area, you open it up and you try to figure out what's going on in there. You wait for it. So you're able to isolate it, and here you go, watch. All right, so after you open it up, you got a whole different world living in there. So, never-ending supply of honey, but it kind of sucks when it comes down to the house. So, but again, another thing that helps out truly figuring out what's going on. You're getting these weird sounds coming from different areas. You're able to isolate it. You're able to figure out what's happening, and you're able to debunk it and help out the people. Because like I said, so many of these claims are able to be debunked. Over 90% of all claims. So, all right, let's see here. All right, and I think that's the most important slide to the whole thing. We are not trying to find a ghost. We believe that over 90% of it can be disproved. We're trying to find real-world answers and put it on that level and let the people know what's really happening, just so we can truly empower them and allow them to live their life, take it back. And really, like I was saying earlier, Flir's advancements in thermal technology, it's set them apart. Let's be honest with you. You're all here because of that. The devices they've made now are small, they're portable, they're within everybody's budget, which I think is the most important thing. And it helps out so much. And they've got all different things. It's not just the Flir 1. They've got all the smaller cameras, and they've even got the C series, which is a camera you can snap pictures of, and it'll take a regular picture and a thermal imaging picture as well. And now they're creating the little cameras as well, just like the GoPros, which you're able to set up and use for thermal.